boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, wrestling. Who are the best at these 4 martial arts across all divisions? That's what I wanted to talk about in this video today. I'm going to go through flyweight all the way up to heavyweight and talk about who's the best for these 4. And yeah, let's start right away. I have it on the screen. Flyweight boxer. The best boxer at flyweight, in my opinion, is Brandon Moreno. Listen, Brandon Moreno, I know he got outstruck by Brandon Royval in the rematch, and he's lost to Pantoja twice. But whenever this guy's on point, look what he did to Kai Kara France. Outboxed him and then ended up hitting him with a body shot and finishing him. Look what he did to Amir Albazi. Put a boxing clinic on his face. It was beautiful to see. Even back in the Davison-Figueiredo quadrilogy, he was boxing up Davison-Figueiredo in moments. So a lot of that quadrilogy, actually, he was boxing him up. So Brandon Moreno, whenever he's on point, I think he's easily the best boxer in the flyweight division. And I just love his boxing style, if I'm being honest. Just the little thing with his hands he does. You know what I'm talking about. Bro just looks like a little Mexican warrior, a little shrimp, if you will. So Brandon Moreno for the best boxer. For BJJ, this should be no surprise, is going to be Alessandro Pantoja. He has the best BJJ at flyweight. Let's be real. Anytime you go to the ground with this guy, as shown in the Kai Asakura fight recently, you're in danger of being submitted. This guy submitted Kai Asakura. He submitted a bunch of guys in the flyweight division. And yeah, man, anytime you go to the ground with this guy, you're at risk of getting your neck taken and choked out. Or he might camp in half guard, but there's nobody in this division has better BJJ. It's not even close. Alessandro Pantoja just made Kai Asakura look like an amateur. So, yeah, and I think if Davison-Figueiredo goes back down, he'll make him look like an amateur again, because Davison-Figueiredo is going to be weight drained, and he's 37 years old. It's not the same guy that originally beat Pantoja. Either way, let's move on to the best kickboxer. It's going to be Brandon Raw Dog Royval. Listen, this dude might be raw dogging his wife, but at the same time, he's also raw dogging him in the cage with the knees and the kicks and the punches and everything. His performance against Tatsuro Taira and Brandon Moreno this year were 2 of the craftiest performances by Brandon Royval. I think he's the most underrated striker at flyweight. He's so dangerous in the striking. He just, if there's a good grappler like a Pantoja or somebody that can take him down and like kind of stifle his striking, then it struggles to show. But I do think he has underrated kickboxing, and it's always dangerous on the feet with this guy. He's landed knee knockouts on guys. He's always piecing up guys on the feet like a Tatsuro Taira. He didn't piece Tatsuro Taira up on the feet, but he did well. He won the fight. And yeah, man, maybe this guy's next for a title against Pantoja. He already has 2 losses, so it's tough. But let's see the best wrestler at flyweight. I'm going to have to go with Alessandro Pantoja as well. Listen, the way he just took down Kai Asakura like he was a little baby was great. I think he took down everybody pretty much. He took down Figueiredo. He took down Kai Asakura. He took down Royval bunches of times. Steamrolled Royval on the ground, if I'm being honest. And this guy just took down everybody that he's fought in the division. He's just lapping the division in terms of wrestling and BJJ. It's not even close. There's a reason Pantoja is the champion and probably the most underrated champion right now. So yeah, this is my rankings for flyweight. Let's move on to the bantamweight division. The best boxer at bantamweight, it's a no-brainer. It's Petr Yan. Listen, Petr Yan, whenever he's on point, is the most technical boxer in the UFC, arguably. This guy, sometimes he's so technical that he gets in his own way, and he tries to like be like Mr. Perfect, like Mr. Floyd Mayweather in the cage. And sometimes you just got to let those hands go and fight dirty. But Petr Yan, he has beautiful boxing technique, and he will box your face up all day long like he did to Figueiredo, like he did to Corey Sandhagen, like he did to Sean O'Malley in moments. Listen, Sean O'Malley might have won the kickboxing exchanges, but I think in pure boxing, Petr Yan is the best boxer in the bantamweight division, and it's not really debatable. He boxed up Song Yadong. He just boxed up and outworked Davison-Figueiredo. He's outboxed a lot of guys, and yeah, I have to put him in the boxing best of the bantamweight division. For Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I am going to give it to Davison-Figueiredo. Listen, anytime you go to the ground with this guy, you're in danger of being submitted. I know Cody Garbrandt is not like known as like a jiu-jitsu guy, but he's the only guy to submit Cody Garbrandt in the UFC. And the fact that he took him down and submitted him, one of the only guys to do both, is kind of crazy, because Cody Garbrandt, although he's been getting knocked out forever, he's always been known to have like underrated wrestling and like being hard to take down. Not many guys could take him down, but to take him down and submit him like Figueiredo did, and he's also been dangerous on the ground against other guys. And yeah, man, if this guy takes your back, you're in for a world of trouble. And even at flyweight, I know you don't count him because it's at bantamweight, but at flyweight, he was choking guys out left and right. So got to give Davison-Figueiredo, in my opinion, the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the bantamweight division. For kickboxing, I'm going to give it to Sean O'Malley, Sugar Sean O'Malley. Although he looked embarrassing against Merab, that's more so because Merab, with his constant pressure and constant takedowns, is always interrupting the rhythm. But whenever Sean O'Malley's on point, a perfect example of his kickboxing would be in the Cheeto Vera fight. I mean, he put an absolute clinic on Cheeto. That knee he landed on his chin sounded like a baseball bat, and just busted up Cheeto with the hands, the knees, the legs, the eyeballs, the eyebrows, everything. He was just destroying Cheeto. And yeah, man, that was one of the best kickboxing performances in the bantamweight division you'll ever see, boys. And yeah, he also out kickboxed and outworked Aljo on the feet. I'm just kidding. Obviously, he's going to out kickbox Aljo. But yeah, Sean O'Malley's the best boxer in the bantamweight, kickboxer in the bantamweight division. It's a no-brainer in my opinion. And the best wrestler. Now, this one's controversial. I have Umar as the best wrestler. Listen, some people will say Merab, but I don't think Merab's the best wrestler. He has the best pace in terms of wrestling, but in terms of like pure wrestling and takedowns, I feel like Umar is levels ahead of Merab. Merab literally just spams cardio takedowns and fails like half of them. Whenever he fought Piotr Jan, he went 11 for 49 on takedowns. And so Piotr Jan was easily stuffing him. He's not even shooting takedowns to get guys down to the ground. He's shooting to break the rhythm. Umar, if he wants to take you down, he'll get you down. He outworked and got Corey Sandhagen down a bunch of times. Although Corey Sandhagen was able to get up a bunch, Umar consistently took him down to the ground. And honestly, I think this is going to be the difference whenever he fights Merab, is that it's going to be the takedowns. Like, Merab's not going to be able to take down Umar. Umar's going to be too fast on the outside. He'll be able to defend the takedowns and arguably get his own takedowns. So, yeah, I have Umar as the best bantamweight wrestler. Might be a little bit of glaze in there, but yeah, I was just really impressed with his performance against Corey Sandhagen, who's developing his grappling to be really good in his own right. So, yeah, this is my bantamweight rankings. Let's move on to the featherweight division. We got the best boxer in the featherweight division. Do I really have to even say it? It's Ilia Topuria. Little ding-dong of a thing he is, yeah? Ilia Topuria, the best boxer in featherweight and arguably the best boxer we've ever seen in the UFC. From, like, effectiveness, I'd say Piotr Jan's probably technically a better boxer, but in terms of effectiveness and finishing fights, there's nobody better than Ilia Topuria in the boxing realm. This guy is always so dangerous, and his boxing combos are so clean and they're so accurate. That's what makes him so good in the boxing. Is he has power and he's accurate. Like, look at that left hook he landed on Max Holloway in boxing range. It was impressive. This guy outboxed. Well, he's not outboxing everybody, but in terms of like when you're in boxing range, you're always in like trouble of getting knocked out. He's like Gervonta Davis, you know. He'll be like losing a fight to Volk, you know, getting pitter patted up, losing the striking, but then boom, get him against the cage and you're going out. So I have Ilia Topuria as the best boxer in the featherweight division, and yeah, I don't think that's a big surprise. I think everybody knows that. For the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm going to have Diego Lopes again, maybe a little bit of glaze. Diego Lopes is my favorite fighter, but I do think he has the best and most dangerous Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at featherweight. I mean, look what he did to Movsar Evloev on short notice. He almost lashed up a couple submissions, and it was getting hairy for Movsar Evloev, and yeah, man, if Diego Lopes gets you on the ground, he's going to be constantly attacking submissions, and he's very technical with the submissions, and he's dangerous. And yeah, I feel like he's like a better version of Brian Ortega on the ground. That might sound crazy because people are like, dude, Brian Ortega's jiu-jitsu, but it's like outside of Yair Rodriguez, when's the last time Brian Ortega tapped anybody out of featherweight? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I understand Brian Ortega's jiu-jitsu is good, but Yair arguably like submitted him. Call it a fluke, but Yair put him in the position to get that injury in their first fight. And yeah, he came back and submitted Yair, but it's like, I don't know, man. I feel like Brian Ortega's jiu-jitsu gets a little overhyped sometimes, but I'm going to give this to Diego Lopes, and a lot of people are going to say, dude, no way, man. Ortega has the best jiu-jitsu at featherweight. Nope, I'm just not seeing it. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'm giving it to Lopes, and I'm talking about over recent performances. Submitting Yair Rodriguez is not that impressive. Yair Rodriguez is just, I mean, he's just so tiny. I feel like I can probably submit him. No, I'm joking. But the best kickboxer at featherweight for me is going to be Volkanovski. Listen, Volkanovski, he out-kickboxed Yair Rodriguez. Well, maybe not. He had to actually take down Yair. But either way, he was out-kickboxing Ilia Topuria. He out-kickboxed Max Holloway 3 times in the featherweight division. You can argue that Max out-kickboxed him in the second fight, but overall, he's one of the best kickboxers we've ever seen. He outstruck Islam Makhachev in the kickboxing realm in some moments in the fight, and that's super impressive to me because I think Islam's one of the best kickboxers at lightweight as well. So I have to have Volk as the best kickboxer. It's close, you know. If Max Holloway was still in this division, you could give it to Max Holloway, but he moved up to featherweight. I mean, up to lightweight. So I do think you have to put Volk as the best kickboxer at featherweight. Let's move on to the best wrestler. Same guy. Boldanovsky, the best chef, the best wrestler, best kickboxer. Listen, even old Volk at 36, I still think he's the best wrestler at featherweight. Some people would argue Ilia Topuria, but listen, man, Ilia Topuria got taken down by Bryce Mitchell. You think Volk's getting taken down by Bryce Mitchell? Not a shot, dude. Listen, I know Ilia Topuria has good takedowns himself. He took down Max Holloway, but I still think when you look at the way that Volk was able to go into the Islam fight up a weight class and out-wrestle him in moments, take him down, and just hold his own in the wrestling department. He did not out-wrestle Makhachev. That's not what I'm saying. He had moments where he took Islam Makhachev down and had good moments in the wrestling. And he also took Yair Rodriguez down. He took Max Holloway down. He even took Brian Ortega down in some moments. It's like Volk has amazing wrestling. He's always had amazing wrestling. So I got to put him at the featherweight best for wrestling still. Even at 36 years old, I still think he's a crafty wrestler. Let's go on to the lightweight division. For boxing, the best boxer in the lightweight division, in my opinion, is DP. My boy from the hometown, Dustin Poirier. Salon quality, the Diamond, El Diamante, whatever you want to call him. I think he's the best boxer at lightweight. And yeah, man, I think he can box up anybody. I know people are going to say that Islam, he outboxed Dustin Poirier, but that's because Islam was threatening takedowns. And whenever you're threatening takedowns, your boxing's not going to be the same. So I think in a pure boxing match, Dustin Poirier is the best boxer in the lightweight division. Guys like Islam are up there. Guys like not Charles Oliver. Charles doesn't have good boxing. Max Holloway is definitely up there in boxing too, but we saw what happened in the fight with Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier. I feel like Dustin Poirier outboxed him in that second fight and would outbox him again in the third fight. So, yeah, man, Dustin Poirier I do have as the best boxer at lightweight. Let's get on to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yes, I still have Charles Oliveira as the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist at lightweight. He has the most submissions in UFC history for a reason. I don't want to hear Islam Makhachev submitted him. Yeah, I know. But that was after knocking him down and then locking up an arm triangle choke. That was not him, so to speak, out-grappling Charles. That was him taking advantage of a situation after knocking him down. So I would still say that Charles Oliveira has the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the division. And even Makhachev didn't want much to do with the ground game before he knocked Charles down. Like whenever it was just going for pure grappling, Charles showed that he was one of the best and still is the best, man. He submitted a lot of guys at lightweight. He submitted Kevin Lee, the GOAT. Everybody forgets. So you got to give respect to Charles in the BJJ department. Like I said, there's a reason he has the most submissions in UFC history and UFC lightweight history, obviously. Let's move on to the best kickboxer at lightweight. That's going to be Maximus Holloway. If you want to see a perfect example of like a kickboxing clinic, watch Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje at UFC 300. Max Holloway put on an absolute masterclass of kickboxing against Justin Gaethje, spinning back kicks to the face, just boxing his face up, knocking him out in the last second of the fight. And yeah, man, Max Holloway throughout his career has always been one of the top kickboxers in the lighter weight classes in 145, in 155. I think he is the best kickboxer between those two divisions. He's just so good. And he's not the best boxer because he gets hit a lot, but the best whenever he's mixing in the kicks and head kicks, he's amazing. So got to give respect to my boy Maximus Holloway. And the best wrestler, listen, you could go Islam, you could go Arman. I'm going to go Islam because in their first fight, Islam did out-wrestle Arman arguably. I know he was a younger Arman, but still. And people are going to bring up that Islam Makhachev struggled to take down Dustin Poirier, and he struggled to take down a smaller guy in Volkanovski and had moments. It's like, I get it, dude, but for the most part, he's taking guys down like a Dan Hooker easily and submitting him. He's taking guys down like a Bobby Green, easily submitting him. He's taking guys down like a Drew Dober, like a Thiago Moises, like a Charles Oliveira until he, No, did he take down Charles? I don't know. I know he knocked him down. I don't know if he took him down. But yeah, I think he'll take down Arman Tsarukyan a bunch in their title fight at UFC 311, and I think he's going to prove that he's the best wrestler still at lightweight. You could argue Arman, and I wouldn't be mad about it, but I still has Islam as the best wrestler at lightweight. And yeah, man, this is my lightweight rankings for these 4 stats. Let's go to the next one. We got welterweight. The best boxer at welterweight. This is a gimme. It's Jack Della Maddalena. Now, let me say, I will agree that Jack Della Maddalena's striking in general is a little overrated. He was kind of getting pieced up by Gilbert Burns in the beginning of their fight. And people forget, man, Gilbert Burns was piecing up Jack Della Maddalena before he came back in the 3rd round, dude. But either way, Jack Della Maddalena, he has some of the cleanest boxing in the welterweight division, the cleanest boxing in the welterweight division, in my opinion. Just the way he sticks and moves and land some pretty combos on your face. You know, man, Jack, the Kangaroo, Aussie, Della Maddalena is absolute GOAT of welterweight boxing. Let's move on to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm still going to have Shavkat Rakhmonov, and people are going to be like, dude, how can you put Shavkat as the best Jiu-Jitsu guy when he almost got choked out by Ian Gary? Listen, let's not pretend like Ian Gary's not training with Oliveira and Damian Maia, two of the best Jiu-Jitsu practitioners ever. And he couldn't submit Shavkat, and he had that choke locked all the way in. That just goes to show how good Shavkat's submission defense is. But I know guys, I'm coping about the Ian Gary fight, but I still think that Shavkat Rakhmonov, I'm going to make some excuses. He did go in that fight with a torn MCL, and I still think when it gets to the ground, Shavkat has some of the best top game we can see in the welterweight division in terms of jiu-jitsu. He just struggles to get it there because his offensive wrestling is not the best, but he was the first guy to submit Wonder Boy. Just saying, nobody's ever submitted Wonder Boy. Yeah, I know it's Wonder Boy, but still. And he submitted a bunch of guys. He has like 8 or 9 submissions on his record, so shout out to Shavkat. Despite the Ian Gary fight and his getting his back taken, I still think in pure jiu-jitsu, he's the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy in the division, and I stand by that. Let's move on to kickboxing. For kickboxing, I'm going to give it to Ian Gary. Listen, I'm not counting Michael Venom Page because he's fighting at middleweight now. He's older. We don't know if this guy's even going to come back to welterweight, so I'm excluding Michael Venom Page. He would be the best, but I'm going to give it to Ian Gary. Yeah, man, Ian Gary, he's got good head kicks. He's got good striking, as we know. He's one of the best strikers in the division. He head kicked D-Rod, outstruck Jeff Neal for the most part. He could completely destroy Neil Magny, and in moments he outstruck Shavkat. He just don't have that power like Shavkat, so he lost those rounds, but he was doing pretty good in the striking exchanges, I would say. So I do have Ian Gary as the best kickboxer at welterweight. You could argue Michael Venom Page, but like I said, he's fighting up a weight class at 185 against Shera, so I'm not going to count him right now. The best wrestler at welterweight, you guys know I don't like this guy, and I hate to admit it, but it's Bilal. Nobody remembers his name, Muhammad. Listen, what he did to Leon Edwards, when you know how good Leon Edwards is in the wrestling department, is kind of crazy. I mean, Leon Edwards took down Kamaru Usman, which Colby Covington couldn't even do. Leon Edwards has really good, underrated wrestling himself, and Bilal was throwing him around like a child in the octagon, literally dunked him on his head. And Bilal's out-wrestled a bunch of guys. Out-wrestled the Sensei Luke in the rematch. He out-wrestled, who was the other guy he out-wrestled? I can't remember the other guy he out-wrestled, but yeah, he out-wrestled Wonder Boy, of course. But yeah, Bilal has the best wrestling in the division, and he has that insane pace to go with it. So he's going to continuously take you down. You get back up, he's going to take you down again. But Bilal, got to give him his respect, even if he's not my favorite champion. He has the best wrestling at welterweight. Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be the middleweight division. Boxing at middleweight, I'm going to give it to Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland has the best boxing at middleweight. He's got that Floyd Mayweather Philly shell. Teep, teep, jab, jab. Teep, teep, jab, jab. That's an entire Sean Strickland fight if you've never seen one. So, yep. Sean Strickland has the best boxing in the middleweight division. Although not having the most power, he has the most clean boxing. And he's so hard to hit clean in the boxing department. So many guys like Dricus du Plessis, like Israel Adesanya, said they have trouble hitting him clean. Israel Adesanya said he had trouble finding his jab against Strickland. Strickland just presses forward with boxing combos, and yeah, man, with the Philly shell, and it's really hard to defend. So shout out to Sean Strickland. And how good is Alex Pereira knocking him out? Either way, Sean Strickland, the best boxer at middleweight. Let's move on to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think it's going to be, Khamzat Chimaev. Listen, Khamzat Chimaev, it's not even close. Who has better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than this guy? And let me just bring up wrestling, because you already know it's Khamzat too. This guy's wrestling plus Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like the equivalent of fighting Francis Ngannou in the first round. Like, it's so dangerous. The stuff, I mean, who does that to Robert Whittaker? The way he took Whittaker down and literally squeezed a neck crank and popped Whittaker's teeth out of place. Yeah, say what you want, Whittaker's teeth have always been messed up, but nobody else has done that to him. Khamzat is that damn good. His wrestling is the best we've ever seen in the UFC. I'm sorry, I know that's not a hot take, but I think his wrestling's the best we've ever seen. I think his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is so crazy aggressive and dominant. He Darce choked Kevin Holland. He carried Li Jingliang like a baby and choked him out. Who else has he submitted? He submitted a bunch of guys earlier on. He dominated Kamaru Usman on the ground. 10-8'd him in the wrestling department on the ground. Couldn't submit him, fair enough. He submitted Robert Whittaker. Like, I know Khamzat, he's lost half his career because he can't even beat his own immune system. But when this guy is healthy and he puts it all together, he has the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling combo in the middleweight division. It's not even close. Nobody can even contest with him in this area. He's so good that Guys, the only way guys know they can beat him is if they gas him out and get him out of the first round, because his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling is like that of a Francis Ngannou punch in the first round. So, yeah. Hamzat for BJJ and wrestling. For kickboxing, I'm going to have Israel Adesanya. You already know he got that dog in him, and nobody said anything about dogs, bro. Yeah. Israel Adesanya is definitely the best kickboxer at middleweight ever since Alex Pereira moved up. You know, he keeps the crown of that. I know Sean Strickland outstruck him, but it was more boxing, not kickboxing. In pure kickboxing, Izzy outstrikes most guys. Even if it's boring, he's the best kickboxer, best leg kicker, best striker overall at middleweight. Got to give him his respect despite being 1-3 in his last 4. He is winning the striking exchanges in most of his fights outside of the Sean Strickland. But yeah, let's move on to the light heavyweight division. Light heavyweight division, the best boxer I'm going to give, and the best kickboxer, it's no secret, it's going to be Alex Pereira, guys. The best boxer and the best kickboxer at light heavyweight. I mean, this guy literally went into the Matrix in round 4 of the Khalil Roundtree fight and was just boxing his head off, destroying him against the cage. And I felt bad for Khalil in that 4th round because Khalil had showed such heart and such a good start to the fight and got completely destroyed. He out leg kicked and out boxed Jamal Hill. Shocker, I know. I think if he fought Magomed Ankalaev and stayed on the feet, he would outbox and out kickbox Magomed Ankalaev. Anybody in the division that's striking, boxing, or kickboxing with this guy, you're in danger. He's just too good. His left hand is too deadly. He's too accurate. And yeah, man, I just feel like fighting this guy on the feet is a death sentence. So if Ankalaev fights him, he better take it to the ground if he knows what's best for him, son. Either way, the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the division, drum roll please, none. I don't think anybody at light heavyweight has good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You could have said Anthony Smith at one time, but at this point, is it really going to be that good? You know, he's so washed. I'm not even going to say he has the best BJJ. I don't think Ankalaev has the best BJJ because who has he submitted? Nobody. And it's like Jan Blachowicz, who has he really submitted? No, not many really people. He out-grapples guys. I don't know. I guess you could give best BJJ to Jan Blachowicz, but I don't know. I just feel like nobody's credible enough at this point in the division to be credited the best BJJ, so I'm going to leave it empty. The best wrestling in the division, I do think it's Magomed Ankalaev. Yeah, I think if he wants to take the fight to the ground against a Pereira and like he did against a Jan Blachowicz, he can make it happen. He just feels comfortable in the striking, and typically he has success, so he doesn't need to mix in the wrestling. But whenever he does, I feel like he is the best wrestler at light heavyweight. And yeah, you saw that in the Jan Blachowicz fight. He pulled out some crafty takedowns in the last 2 rounds to secure a draw because he was losing that fight on the feet via leg kicks. So imagine what Alex Pereira would do to this guy on the feet. I'm just saying, guys, Magomed Ankalaev better be diving for the legs or he's going to get KO'd. Either way, let's move on to the big blobs, you know, the big heavyweights. For boxing, I'm going to have Tom Aspinall. Yep. Hello, John. Yeah, Tom Aspinall is the best boxer at heavyweight. I mean, he did boxing when he was younger and jiu-jitsu, which is my 2 of the best mixed martial arts you can have bases in. But yeah, Tom Aspinall is the best boxer. I mean, he's outboxed pretty much everybody he's fought in the UFC. I think he might have outboxed everybody he's fought in the UFC. Outboxed Sergey Pavlovich, knocked him out. Outboxed Volkov and then submitted him. Outboxed Curtis Blades and knocked him out. It's like he's outboxing and not kick. Tom Aspinall doesn't really throw kicks. That's why I can't have him as the best kickboxer, but he is the best boxer in the heavyweight division. Clean combinations. He does leave his chin up in the air sometimes, but he's so fast it doesn't even matter. Let's get on to the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Most people will say John Jones, but I'm going to say Gelton Almeida. You could argue John Jones because John Jones is dangerous on the ground, but Gelton Almeida is so slick. If he gets you on the ground, you're probably going to sleep. He choked out Alexander Romanov, who's notoriously good on the ground. He easily choked out Jairzinho Rozenstruik. That was one of his easiest fights. Yeah, he had the stinker performance against Derek Lewis, and yeah, he got TKO trying to take down Curtis Blades in the second round and go for a takedown. He wouldn't let go. But I think whenever this guy gets you on the ground, he's as dangerous as ever. And yeah, man, I think in pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, not including ground and pound wrestling, just pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I do think he's the best at it at heavyweight. Sure, you could argue that if you mix in the martial arts, as Anthony Smith says, if you add all the martial arts, then yeah, John Jones maybe be a better in BJJ, but I still, pure BJJ, I'd give it to Gelton Almeida. For kickboxing, going to give it to Cyril Gahn. He just robbed Volkov. That's no secret, but I still think you have to give it to Cyril Gahn. He's a great kickboxer, one of the most elusive guys we've ever seen in the heavyweight division. Just light on his feet, moves in and out, looks like he's literally like floating on clouds whenever he's striking on the feet. John Jones didn't want nothing to do with his kickboxing. That's why he took him down immediately and submitted him. So, yeah, I know he arguably did lose the fight to Volkov, but And even in that fight, he looked good in the striking. He always looks good in the striking. And just if you want to see a good kickboxing performance, look at Cyril Gane versus Tai Tuivasa. He beat the brakes off of Tai Tuivasa outside of a one knockdown. And the best wrestling at heavyweight, it's very obvious, is going to be Jon Jones. It's not really close. I mean, if it wasn't for size, Jon Jones would be able to take down every single guy in the heavyweight division, and arguably still could. I still think, listen, I think Tom Aspinall beats Jon Jones, but I would not be surprised if Jon Jones got Tom Aspinall to the ground, because Jon Jones is the best wrestler at heavyweight. He out-wrestled Daniel Cormier, who was an Olympian in his prime at light heavyweight, and out-wrestled him and took him down like 3 or 4 times in the fight. Daniel Cormier had never been taken down before, and he's out-wrestled a bunch of guys. I mean, he took Cyril Gane down with ease. He took Stipe down a couple times with ease, so it's like, I know Stipe was way out of his prime, but still, Jon Jones across his career has shown to have amazing wrestling, and yeah, I don't think there's any denying he's the best wrestler in the heavyweight division. So this is my rankings of every martial art across every division, who's the best at each. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree in the comments. Let me know how much of a casual I am. You know, roast me in the comments. I enjoy it. Either way, thank you guys for watching. Please drop a like on the video if you made it this far and you enjoyed it. Thank you guys. I'm out. Peace.